Picosin Lakes was established in the early 1990s to conserve a unique wetland type that we call Picosin.
Picosin habitat is important because it supports a really unique mix of vegetation that gives refuge and home and resources for all this wildlife.
The Nature Conservancy is doing a lot of work on the refuge in terms of research and monitoring, looking at the carbon sequestration aspects of peatland re-wetting.
Picosin habitat is dependent on having this peat soil, which is about 50% carbon. Peat soils, while they only cover about 3% of the earth, they store twice as much of all the terrestrial forest carbon. It stores carbon as long as it stays seasonally saturated from rainfall. This landscape has been ditched and drained for things like timber harvest and farming over the past couple hundred years. That ditching and draining is drying out the peat soil.
Drying out the soil starts an oxidation process where we end up losing peat soil, and it also makes the land more susceptible to wildfire. And when we get a fire started on the refuge, it can burn into the soil itself, and it can go for months at a time.
After a 4-month-long wildfire, you lose up to several feet of that soil. And so that's no longer there to store carbon, but it's also no longer there to support the vegetation that the wildlife are depending on. And so once it's gone, it's gone. By coming out here and doing restoration on these drained areas, we're stopping that loss of carbon and making sure that habitat is available for wildlife in the long run.
We're using water control structures and berms to stop the artificial drainage of rainwater from the area so that we can re-wet the peat soils.
This is a proof of concept project showing how if you re-wet peat, we may be able to get carbon credits in emerging carbon markets. That becomes a financial incentive for folks rather than letting the soil dry out to restore it and actually get some benefit from it. I really believe that we have some options on the table that if we put a little work into it, we can enjoy this landscape for longer, for my kids, for yours, for everybody.